Assalamu alaikum, friends. Welcome to the Zero Excitements channel. The science of boredom is funny because it sounds like something researchers with too much free time invented, yet somehow it perfectly explains why we're all exhausted, despite doing absolutely nothing impressive all day, because boredom isn't the absence of activity anymore. It's the overload of meaningless stimulation mixed with responsibility, expectations, and the quiet pressure to pretend we're fine. And if you think boredom means lying on a couch staring at a wall, congratulations, you're thinking like someone from 1998 because modern boredom looks like scrolling endlessly, opening apps you don't even want to use, checking the fridge for the fifth time knowing nothing new will appear, watching shows while simultaneously being too tired to enjoy them, and still feeling mentally drained like you just ran a marathon you never signed up for. And science actually backs this up by saying boredom today isn't caused by lack of options, but by too many low-reward options, meaning your brain is constantly stimulated but never satisfied, like chewing gum forever and never swallowing, which sounds harmless until you realize your brain is burning energy deciding what not to care about all day. Because every notification, every message, every random thought about your future, every reminder that you should be doing better is pulling tiny pieces of attention out of you until by night your mind feels like a phone at 1% battery, but somehow still buzzing. And the funniest part is, we blame ourselves for being lazy, when in reality our brains are overstimulated, underrested, and emotionally tired from pretending life is exciting when it's mostly repetitive maintenance tasks, like earning money, paying bills, replying haha true to conversations you don't want to continue, and Googling symptoms only to find out stress causes everything from headaches to existential dread. And the science part gets darker when researchers explain that boredom happens when your brain wants meaning but receives distraction instead. So you're not bored because nothing is happening. You're bored because nothing feels worth caring about, which explains why you can be busy all day and still feel empty at night, and why weekends disappear faster than weekdays because your brain doesn't register joy anymore, only relief. Relief that emails stopped, relief that alarms are off, relief that no one expects anything from you for at least a few hours. And even that relief feels tiring because it's temporary. And you know Monday is waiting like an unpaid bill you can't ignore. And humor comes in when you realize adults don't get excited. They get temporarily less miserable, like being happy when plans get canceled, feeling joy over a quiet house, considering 8 hours of sleep a luxury vacation, or feeling accomplished after doing laundry. And science says this isn't depression necessarily. It's cognitive fatigue caused by decision overload, emotional labor, and constant low-grade anxiety about the future, because our brains evolved to hunt, rest, and celebrate survival, not to sit for hours comparing ourselves to strangers online who somehow have perfect bodies, careers, relationships, and motivation at 6 a.m. And your brain knows it's fake, but still absorbs it like background radiation, slowly draining your energy. And boredom creeps in not because life is empty, but because it's too full of things that don't emotionally reward you, which is why vacations sometimes feel underwhelming, movies feel predictable, music feels repetitive, and even food tastes less exciting. Because your dopamine system is exhausted from constant stimulation without fulfillment. And the funniest tragedy is that when we feel bored and tired, we try to fix it with more stimulation, more scrolling, more content, more noise, which is like trying to cure dehydration by drinking salt water. And then we wonder why we're exhausted despite resting, because rest without mental peace is just paused stress. And science also says boredom increases when people feel a lack of control, which perfectly explains adult life, where you control your ringtone but not your workload, your wallpaper but not your rent, your profile picture but not your future. So boredom becomes a quiet protest of the brain saying, "This isn't what I signed up for." And instead of listening, we silence it with entertainment, caffeine, jokes, and pretending we're fine. And humor sneaks in again when you realize the most exciting part of your day is food arriving or Wi-Fi reconnecting. And you feel tired not because you did too much, but because your brain never fully shuts down. Even sleep is interrupted by dreams about deadlines and awkward conversations from 2014. And science explains this as mental residue, unfinished thoughts sticking around like open tabs you never close, draining memory and energy. And boredom is the symptom, not the disease. The disease is a life filled with obligations, but starved of genuine curiosity, novelty, and purpose. And before you panic, thinking this video turns serious, relax, because there's humor in knowing we're all in this together, all pretending we're productive while secretly Googling, "Why am I tired all the time?" All nodding when someone says, "Life is hectic," even though yesterday you mostly existed. And the funniest scientific fact is that boredom can actually make people creative, reflective, and self-aware, but only if they don't drown it in noise. Meaning boredom isn't the enemy, avoidance is. And the reason we're tired isn't because life is meaningless, it's because we haven't given our brains quiet space to rediscover meaning. And quiet feels uncomfortable now, because silence forces us to face thoughts we've been avoiding, like whether we're happy, whether we're living intentionally, or whether we're just surviving between paydays and distractions. And science gently suggests that real rest isn't sleep or entertainment, it's engagement with things that matter personally. Even small things like learning something useless, walking without headphones, laughing without multitasking, or doing nothing without guilt. And that's where the zero excitements philosophy quietly wins, because adulthood doesn't erase excitement, it transforms it into subtle moments that don't scream but whisper, like enjoying a calm morning, feeling safe in your routine, or realizing you're not broken for feeling bored and tired. You're human in a system that monetizes attention and drains energy. And here's the unique truth science won't put in journals, but we can say here. Boredom is your brain asking for honesty. Tiredness is your body asking for boundaries. And neither means your life is empty. It just means you've outgrown chaos disguised as excitement. So if you're watching this and feeling strangely comforted, laughed a little, or felt exposed, congratulations, you're not lazy. You're mentally overworked, emotionally underrested, and officially a member of Zero Excitements, where nothing dramatic happens, nothing viral changes your life, but somehow everything finally makes sense. And maybe that quiet understanding, that moment of, "Oh, it's not just me," is the most exciting thing we get now. And honestly, that's enough. Like, subscribe, and we'll meet again in the next episode of Zero Excitements, where we'll make even more boring parts of life so interesting that you'll feel entertained while being bored. Allah Hafiz.